So we can imagine we are now on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and you are very close to the chariot of Arjuna and Krishna, and you are listening. What is actually Krishna telling to Arjuna? Though engaged in all kind of activities, my pure devotees, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. So the Lord speaks about his pure devotee. What will happen to them? Huh? They will attain the imperishable abode by his grace. So there is a little purport from our founder Acharya to get a little more clarity on this verse. The word Mad Vyapashraya means under the protection of the Supreme Lord. To be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord or his representative, the spiritual master. There is no time limitation for a pure devotee. He is always 24 hours a day, 100% engaged in activities under the direction of the Supreme Lord. To a devotee who is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, Jai Shishi Gauranitai Ki Jai. To a devotee who is thus engaged in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very, very kind. 2 times. In spite of all difficulties, he is eventually placed in the transcendental abode, or Krishna Loka. He is guaranteed entrance there. There is no doubt about it. In that supreme abode, there is no change. Everything is eternal, imperishable, and full of knowledge. One more time the verse. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. Just say one small prayer. I need to also ask blessings to be allowed to speak something today. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master with the torchlight of knowledge has opened my eyes. Therefore I offer him my respectful obeisances. Can you hear the birds? It is said that the voice of the Lord is as sweet as the chirping of the birds. Very sweet. So in this verse we hear of the mercy of the Lord, that for his devotees he will bring them back to Godhead, to his supreme abode. A few days ago I was in Golokadam and I was requested to give a Srimad Bhagavatam lecture. And there we were touching about the kindness of the Lord, how kind the Lord is. And I felt so inspired that I thought we will take this principle also for today's lecture. So the Lord is very, very kind because he is always act for the welfare of all living entities. Here we hear, especially in the verse, especially for the pure devotees, but is actually acting for the welfare of all living entities, even if one is not his devotee or not his pure devotee. And we hope that in this lecture we become a little bit more aware of the kindness of the Lord in our life. I was listening, my spiritual master often spoke on this topic of how the Lord is our friend, how the Lord is kind. And he was giving a very nice analogy. He was saying that when children are raised, if children got a lot of love from their parents, those children will be very strong individuals. they will go through life quite easily. But if they were not getting sufficient love in their life, then they will be more prone to be weak, to be insecure, and to have more difficulties. And then Maharaj makes it in our own life that when we are actually aware and feeling the Lord, the love of the Lord, then our spiritual life will be very strong. We'll be strong spiritual individuals. But if we miss to feel this mercy of the Lord in our life, our spiritual life will be more weak and more difficult to go through. So today we will see the extent of Krishna's kindness, how big, how wide the Lord's kindness is. We will hear of examples of devotees who received this kindness, and we will see how we can become more conscious ourselves of the merciful aspect of the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the verse that we were reading last week, it was written that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is the Supreme Father. And because He is the Supreme Father, He is naturally dear and always ready to act for the good of all living entities. So we will see there are many, here what I'm saying is few thoughts. I think we could speak weeks on this topic. It's very, very broad type of topic. But one of the extent of the Lord's mercy is that all services that we render to the Lord are eternal. And that's very, very special quality. And Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita that in this devotional service, there is no loss and no diminution. So whatever is done in devotional service is actually there forever. Some devotees, they give the example that you might have a bank account, but always some money is taken out. Sometimes the bank is taking some money. Sometimes every month you have some bills that goes automatically. Sometimes you take the money, but it's always prone to go down. And that's in the material nature. Actually, everything is always like prone to go down. But everything we do on the spiritual level is actually having a spiritual dimension, and will actually never go down. It just can only go up and up and up. And in the purport of that particular verse, Srila Prabhupada said that even in material world, all the work that you do, they need to be completed to be successful. If you do work but you stop it in the middle, then you cannot consider it successful. But in devotional life, even if it's not completed, whatever you were able to do is actually successful. So this is one great kindness of the Lord, that He gives us the opportunity to do acts that are there for eternity, that will just go up, go up, go up, go up, and never, ever go down. And in this particular verse we were reading last week, Prabhupada writes, devotional service is so important that even if performed in a small, almost negligible extent, that means really, really, really small, it can give one the supreme result. This is very amazing. You do very, very small amount of devotional service to the Lord, and that can bring an amazing result. So this is a great mercy of the Lord, that He gives us this opportunity to serve Him, and that all action that we do will be there forever. There is an example in the pastimes of the Lord. May I ask, maybe just before, is anyone here in the temple for the first time and do not know much about our philosophy? One person. Okay, good. Thank you. There is an example when Krishna was in this planet Earth many, many years ago, 5,000 plus years ago. When he was a small child, there were a few times some demons that came to try to kill the Lord. And one of them was a she-demon that was called Putana. And there is actually a very interesting background story of Putana, because in previous life, I think you are from Indian background, you might understand a little bit the stories. And there is actually many years ago, even before Krishna came on this planet Earth, there was Bali Maharaj, who was a great king, and Bali Maharaj was challenged by Vamanadev, who was the Lord's incarnation coming as a small dwarf. So when Vamanadev arrived there, Bali Maharaj was on the kingdom, on the throne, and the sister of Bali Maharaj was there. And when she saw Vamanadev, she said, "My God, this boy is so cute, so beautiful. I would like to be his mother. I would like to feed him with my own breast milk." But little later, Vamanadev tricked Bali Maharaj and took away all his kingdom. And at that time, Ratamala was her name. She said, "Oh, I will feed him my milk, but I will also kill him." And then in life later, she came as Putana. But the main point is that because she had slightest desire to serve the Lord took it immediately. And even if we have just a desire to serve the Lord, just that, the Lord is already taking it, even before we accomplish it. So this is like very, very amazing, because if we see Srila Prabhupada brought this ISKCON movement, which is very much a compassionate movement, who want actually to help many, many souls to make progress. And just by giving a book, just by giving some prasadam to a person, we are actually giving everyone the opportunity to make one eternal step forward in their spiritual journey. How merciful is that? So this is one extent of the Lord's mercy. He allows all living entities to do those devotional service which has eternal value. Another aspect of the Lord's mercy is for all what He's giving us. He says in the Gita that He's the one who provides everything. He says, "Aham sarvasya prabhavo," everything is coming from me. All the material universe, all the elements, everything is coming from me. That means all what is actually available to us is a gift from God. Even the air that we are breathing is a gift for God. Even the food that we can take, the water, everything is actually a gift of the Lord. And see about devotional service, we just spoke in the point before, but this is actually something very rare. And whatever is rare means it's valuable, it has value. Whatever is, you have a lot, usually lose its value. But when something is very rare, it's actually very valuable. And this devotional service, or even pure devotional service, the devotional service that is done just for the pleasure of the Lord, this is something extremely rare and extremely valuable. But this is also something the Lord is giving. Everyone has actually the right to it. Everyone has actually the possibility to get access to this greatest treasure. He appears to us as the deity on the altar. He appears to us as the holy name. He appears to us in the holy scriptures, holy books, Bhagavatam. He is all the time in our heart. He is appearing in the devotees and the spiritual master in our life. So one might have heard that many times, but how much actually do we realize that all those aspects are actually aspects of the Lord's mercy and kindness toward us? And how much do we actually just take them for granted? And yeah, it's normal. We feel it's normal. So this is a reflection we would like to do today, and especially the Lord coming in the form of Vaishnavas or devotees of the Lord. That is actually the most potent way we can actually get connected to the Lord. When we have this association with other spiritually minded people, our spiritual journey is always alive. But if we lose this association with spiritually minded people, then usually it's very, very difficult to keep a proper perspective in life. Another aspect of the Lord's kindness is that He wants all of us to go back to His spiritual abode. And there is a story that is written in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the story of Gajendra. Maybe some of you know Gajendra. He was actually offering an amazing prayer to the Lord. And I would like to read to you this prayer of Gajendra. Actually, Gajendra had been in a very difficult situation and was calling to the Lord for getting help. And when the Lord came to help Gajendra, Gajendra recited this prayer. Gajendra said, "Since an animal such as me has surrendered unto you, certainly you will release me from this dangerous position. Indeed, being extremely merciful, you incessantly try to deliver me." So the Lord incessantly tries to deliver the living entities. And now listen what Prabhupada writes in the purport of this verse. It is not that Krishna becomes attentive to us only when we offer prayers. Even before we offer our prayers, the Lord incessantly tries to deliver us. That is Krishna. That Krishna is within our heart and is not at all inattentive. We are very inattentive, but He is in our heart and is not at all inattentive. That is, He is never lazy in regard to our deliverance. So we sometimes get lazy in our life, but the Lord is in our heart. He is never lazy into helping us to bring us back home, back to God in our deliverance. And that even though we refuse to accept His instruction, He is not becoming angry with us. That's amazing. I mean, if you contemplate on that, it's really amazing. The Lord is ready to deliver the living entities even before they start to pray. And He is in our heart and He's always attentive to bring us to higher levels of deliverance. And even if we don't follow His instruction, He's not becoming angry. He's not saying, okay, useless this guy, I leave him alone. No, He's always keeping, trying to deliver the living entities. This is one amazing extent of the Lord's mercy. And as I mentioned, there another aspect of the Lord is that He's all the time in our heart as Paramatma. Even the most sinful person, the Lord never leaves him. Life after life after life, no matter how bad people can be, the Lord never leaves the living entity. And not only the human beings, all animals, He is all the time with the living entity as His best friend. This is also an amazing aspect of His mercy. And I would like to read, my spiritual master was having his Vyasa Puja celebration, like a birthday celebration in our temple some months ago. And because it's like his birthday, many disciples came and he received many gifts from the disciples. And he wrote a letter to all the disciples to thank them for their present. I just want to read a few sentences of his letter because it touched exactly on this point. During our time together, my purpose was to remind you that Krishna is very close, just a thought or a prayer away. With this awareness, our spiritual life can remain vibrant. And then Maharaj tells the story. There was a disciple of Prabhupada who was in Hong Kong. He was trying to open a temple, but he was alone, and it was not so easy. So he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada asking him, I'm alone here, please send me someone to help. And when Prabhupada read the letter, he was with some other devotees in the room, and he gave an interesting comment. Prabhupada said, what is this alone? A Vaishnava is never alone. You should know you are never alone. When I first came to the United States, I was seemingly alone for 1 year, but I never felt alone. Prabhupada after sent help. He was kind and compassionate. But the point is to realize that we are actually never alone and that the Lord is with us. Just few more sentences from this letter. During my presentation, I emphasized a fine-tuning of our attitude toward Krishna. Try to see Krishna as a close friend, not a distant God. As Krishna himself confirms, I, Krishna, I am the friend who can actually do good to all beings. Krishna is always present in the background, whether we acknowledge him or not. We can depend on him like children rely on their loving parents, who always keep a watchful eyes over them. As the years go by, I notice many changes around me, both in our movement and in the outside world. However, only when I reflect on Krishna's mercy toward the fallen do I become increasingly hopeful and enthusiastic. So this is, I found it very, very beautiful and very much connected to the topic of today, to be mindful of the presence of the Lord and not just see the Lord of someone very far, something very vague, but to understand that actually the Lord is in our heart. There is no one closer to you, even though here you are close to each other. Even the Lord is closer to you than all the neighbors that are around you. That's how close the Lord is. And these are topics we might have heard, but that topics we have to contemplate in our life. We have to reflect on that and meditate upon that. So we go to the second section of today, example of how the Lord was the well-wisher of his devotees. And when you read especially Srimad Bhagavatam, it's full of story. It's full of story of the loving exchange between the Lord and his devotees and how the Lord protected them, how the Lord was nourishing the love in their heart. And there are a few examples I would like to mention. One was his relationship with the Pandavas. Arjuna, the hero of Bhagavad Gita, was one of the Pandavas, and the Lord was always there to actually protect the Pandavas and to arrange and give them advice. And even Krishna, who is God himself, become the chariot driver, driving the chariot of Arjuna. There is the example of Bhishma. Bhishma Dev, at the end of the battlefield, he was ready to die, and Krishna just came in front of him, gave him the final darshan before Bhishma will leave the body. There is Draupadi, who was being disrobed in the assembly, and she called out for the help of Krishna, and Krishna gave her unlimited sari to protect her. There are many instances. Parikshit Maharaj, who was in the womb, that was the last descendant of the dynasty that was seriously attacked by the big weapon of Ashwatthama. Krishna came to protect him. So there are many instances. And also in our life, I'm sure if one is a little bit reflective, he will notice that actually in many times of his life, the Lord was there in a particular moment to make particular arrangement for us to come closer to him and move forward on our journey back home, back to Godhead. When Krishna was here 5,000 years ago in Vrindavan, there were a lot of exchanges between his devotees, where he was extremely benevolent, extremely kind, and always nourishing the love of his devotees. If you see in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is giving a lot of promises. He said, I will provide what you lack, and I will protect what you have. All what you have, I will protect. All what you need, I will provide. He said, I will take away all your karma. Do not fear. I will give you the understanding how you can come close to me. So in many, he say, you also have to do your parts. You also have to become a devotee. So then the relationship gets really activated. But he gives a lot of promise that he's ready to do all the needful for this loving relationship to move on. I heard once Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was saying, what is Bhagavad Gita? And he was saying Bhagavad Gita is a love letter. It's a love letter to the living entities, where Krishna said, we have a relationship together. We can do it. We can do it. I'm ready. I'm available. I'm there. I'm waiting for it. Please start moving in this journey. We could say, yeah, maybe Krishna gives promise, but maybe he don't always keep his promise. But with his devotees, he always keep it. And Kunti herself, she said, the sun might one day become cold, and the moon might one day become hot, but your promise to your devotees will never fail. Okay, we go to the last point for today's lecture. I think there will be quite a lot of time for question and answer, but there will be also a story at the end, is how to become more conscious that the Lord is actually our well-wisher, that the Lord is kind. And here I would like to ask you now. Sometimes it's good to make it a little bit interactive. I'm sure many of you are very bright-hearted persons and thoughtful persons. So please tell me, what can you do to be more aware during the day of the kindness of the Lord in your life? Okay. Oh, very good. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Very good. Prabhuji, you say chanting, but you might also be chanting without actually feeling it's the mercy of the Lord. How do you do to chant knowing that this chanting is the mercy of the Lord? I think the microphone might not be on. Or yeah.
This is
That's good.
Yeah. So I try to show him love while chanting, and I can feel his love back.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Yes.
When we start dancing,
I can repeat what you say, but you have a good voice. I think everyone will get it.
When we start dancing, when we chant, then it's the mercy of the Lord.
Okay. So when you sing and dance, you remember, oh, this is the mercy of the Lord that I can dance and sing. Okay. How often do you do that when you sing and dance?
When I chant with some devotee songs,
Okay.
then I do dancing. But when I chant only by myself, on the mala, then
it's more difficult. Okay. Okay, good.
We are sitting here. We came here. That's also a mercy of God.
Okay.
So we are sitting here. That's also mercy of Lord.
Okay, but how do you you become aware that being here is the mercy of the Lord. If today was another lecture here, would you be aware that to be here is the mercy of the Lord?
So the thing is, yeah, there could be different situations that we could not come or something, but that's another thing. But we come here, we are able to hear the Lord's pastime, all these things, Lord's Leela. So that's also because of Lord's mercy we are able to hear. Not everyone is fortunate enough to be here to hear Lord's topic.
Okay. It's good, but I'm not satisfied with, because I agree. We all understood of the mercy of the Lord in our life and like this. But what I want to say is very, 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 very often we don't realize it's the mercy. Very, very often to be here, to hear the names, it's normal. We don't feel, oh, here is really the mercy of the Lord. Here is the manifestation of the Lord's kindness. Like after we will all take prasad. Prasad is the remnants of the Lord. How many of us, while taking prasad, we are aware this is the kindness of the Lord? So my question is, how can we increase our level of awareness? I know we all know what is the mercy, but how can we increase the level of awareness that those aspects are the kindness of the Lord in our life?
Maybe what I'm thinking, whatever we are hearing, let's remember it. Whatever we are remembering, just we feel it. That's what it's call it as Sravana Manana Nirichasa. That will be helpful.
That's a very nice answer. We have to be reminded. We have to remember. We have to constantly remember, oh, here is the Lord's mercy. Oh, here is the Lord's grace. Oh, the Lord is very kind. We have to all the time remember. Excellent answer. Thank you.
Yes, what I do is like a rituals help me, like from the first day on, like to offer my food to the Lord first, because it comes from Him, and like this is my position. I'm only the servant. I have to be aware of my position, that I am only the servant, and then that He is first, always first. And this ritual and chanting and reading, all this stuff, like subtly made me more aware of all the gifts that during the day the Lord like provides me with. So those rituals at first, they were like, you have to establish them, but if they are established at a certain point, you get more and more aware of what is happening. You awake more, mindfulness and grows, and that's a wonderful thing that I experienced myself.
Thank you. We still have to be careful with rituals, because they might also, in due course of time, to be just a ritual where our mind will be totally else. One sadhu was saying that the meaning of spiritual means ritual with spirit. It means you do the ritual, but your consciousness is really aware of. But in the beginning stage, it helps a lot to do all those rituals. But later, when they start to become automatic, then we have to really... Okay, good. Thank you. Yes?
I feel, to share a point, I used to practice like gratitude exercise, like before performing an action, to be grateful for that. And I feel like that interlinks with being merciful and seeing the God's presence on that specific act. So after being grateful for that thing, we could meditate on it or just have a mindful moment to enjoy that feeling that we get to do this. And then if we proceed on it, it'd be more graceful.
Yeah, thank you. So we take the last, Uji. Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you. Actually, during the lecture, exactly this question I asked myself, but I want to ask you, how to really become aware, especially if you feel bad, or if you, for example, if you are ill and feel sick and very weak, then I really try for. So chanting, to be honest, doesn't help. If I have a really bad day and I feel weak, yeah, and I always think how really can it help. The most it is reminding. So try to remind when what can I think now? Okay, think okay, today is a good day, but this will pass. There will be another good day. So try to remember some lectures. Sometimes it helps a bit. But yeah, I really wonder if you have especially a bad day, something that you can really, yeah, rely on to get a little bit of relief.
Yeah. I mean, if you see, yeah, if you see, it's a good question, because you might have like a lot of pain or difficult time, or I don't know, a close relative dies, or a wife leaves you, or things like this that can be there. It's much more difficult to see it as the mercy of the Lord. There was once the question was asked to Keshava Maharaj. The question was different. The question was how to deal when your expectations are not fulfilled. And then he gave a very interesting answer. He said to understand how the world works, you have to understand the purpose of the world. And then he said the purpose of this world is to take you out of this world, is to take you into the spiritual world. So when you understand this, you understand that all those suffering and situations that are there, they are actually impetuses for me to get serious, that this is not the place where I'm supposed to stay, and I want to reach the spiritual abode, the abode of the Lord. So I found it actually very, very wise perspective on the...
I can look forward, means that I can look forward to go somewhere beyond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then I think, but normally you want to have a relief now.
Yeah.
So thank you. Sorry. But yeah, but I think you want to have a relief now here, because it is a bit far away to think, okay, I want to get out of here and maybe there will be something better. But you really want to have, if you have, for example, pain or feel weak, you would just like to have a better feeling now.
Yeah,
so it's sometimes a little bit difficult. I try to think about this, but then I think it's really difficult to think only, okay, maybe at some time I will be out of here and then so sometimes it's a bit difficult.
If you agree, maybe after the lecture we can discuss more and I can tell you more.
Thank you.
So last one, because then we want to move forward.
So it just sounded like a set of prisoners scheming to escape a prison and go home, right? But my question is related to all this, right? The reason why I'm here is perhaps I did something wrong or something good in my previous births, and I'm here to pay for it or to reap some benefits for what I'd done. But there would have been some point where I did nothing, right? Why did this world got created? Why am I stuck here? Right? What is the reason for this? Because unless I know what is the reason I'm here, right, I can't find a way back home.
Well, there are different theories. What Prabhupada will tell us usually is that our coming to the material world was our free will. That the Lord is never... we wanted to try to be happy without Him. Therefore, He created this world for the soul who wants to try to be without Him. So here it's like a kindergarten. You can go, you can play and try to be happy there. But if you want the real happiness, it's not the right place. So, but there are some questions. Is the soul able to fall down from the spiritual world to go to the material world? And there are many philosophical questions and like this. And Prabhupada once said, don't worry too much to the why you are here. But it's clear you are here, and it's clear there is another place where you are supposed to go, where all the religion will speak of paradise, heavenly planets, nirvana, and every spiritual authorized religion will speak of another world that you have to reach, and that's not really here. So maybe the why here is not too important, because it's not so easy to really get it clear. Even very high philosophical persons can debate on that and like this. But more intelligent would be to say, okay, how do I get now to the real place where I really belong? So I thank you. I think we went a little bit astray from the main question, but you actually gave the answer that I already had into my notes, so it's quite okay. What I wanted to bring is the point of gratitude and the point of remembering, to be reminded, to remember all the time that this is actually the mercy of the Lord. And there is a story in South India. There was a Brahmana who was trying to read the Bhagavad Gita. He was illiterate. He did not know how to read. He did not learn how to read. And he had Bhagavad Gita in front of in his hands. He was trying because his spiritual master asked him. And Chaitanya and people were making fun of him. Oh, look at him, he's trying, he's illiterate, but he tried to read Bhagavad Gita, ha ha ha. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and saw this Brahmana, he saw that this Brahmana had tears in his eyes. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, what is happening? Why do you cry? And this Brahmana said, I know that Krishna had become the chariot driver of Arjuna. Hare Krishna, Ayagriva Prabhu. Welcome. He said, I can see that Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna. And when I just think that the Lord became the servant of his own devotee, I just cannot stop to cry. Now I had a reflection on that. What is happening to us if we hear that Krishna was serving his devotee? I don't see anyone crying. How is it that this illiterate Brahmana was crying?
He felt we should serve the Lord, not the Lord should serve us.
But that we also feel that we should serve, but no one cries. So why was the Brahmana crying? Okay, that could be an answer. Because he had deeply reflected on it. He had thought maybe for days and days and days, my God, Krishna is now the driver of Arjuna. Arjuna is his devotee. It was not just passing here and passing there, but it took time actually to deeply reflect upon that. And I think that's what I feel myself in my life. I should increase much more this reflection on the kindness of the Lord, which is very much connected to remembrance, that is very much connected to gratitude, to realize actually all those moments of kindness, and not just take them for cheap and pass over, but actually to chew on them. My spiritual master was sometimes doing a macrobiotic diet. And in macrobiotic diet, you eat brown rice that needs a lot of chewing, and they say you should chew around 25 to 30 times in one bite. And I tried. As more as you chew on it, as more as you feel the sugar of the rice coming, it becomes more and more sweet. As more as you do, it's quite amazing experience. I mean, you need to have quite some time to take your meal. But anyway, that I was thinking in the same way we should chew on those topics of Krishna consciousness, and especially on the kindness of the Lord, because that's something that really has a lot of sweetness inside. So we still have a little time left. I wanted to tell you one story of Krishna's kindness toward his devotees, and that was the story of Sudam Vipra. Sudam was a Brahmana, and he used to be the school friend of Krishna when Krishna was in the Gurukul. And later on, he became very, very poor. But he was very, very learned in the scriptures. He was very, very renounced and sense-controlled. And he always remembered the Lord and loved the Lord. Now his wife, Shushila, she was a little bit feeling sad because she just could not cook for her husband because they just did not know had anything at home. So one day she came and she was hesitating to ask, but she still asked. She said, "You have your good friend, Krishna, he was with you at the school, and he's the husband of the goddess of fortune. He's living in Dwarka, he has so much wealth. Why don't you go to him and ask him for some money?" And Sudam said, "No way. If I ever go to beg, I just beg for pure devotion. I am not going to beg for anything else. What to say about going to Krishna?" But Shushila was all the time, "Please, please, we don't have anything. We are, your veins are coming out of your body. Look, we have to do something." So then Sudam reflected and thought, actually, what more auspicious can be than to go and see my friend Krishna? I will just go and I will not ask him anything. This I say to my wife. So Sudam went. There was like 150-kilometer walk, like few days of walk for Sudam. And then he took a boat. He went on the island of Dwarka. And then he started to walk and try to find Krishna. So he was asking a little around, where is Krishna? And then he heard that Krishna had 16,800 palaces. That did not make it so easy for Sudam to find in which of those addresses he should go. But he followed his heart. And it is said that before those palaces, there were guards. But it was like mystical that he could just go through all the guards. No one would ask him anything. He would just pass one stage after the other. And when he came close to the center of one of the palaces, he felt like the bliss of liberation. He felt like extremely happy. He just stopped, could not speak, just was feeling this amazing peace and happiness inside of his heart. And at that time, Krishna, who was in the palace, saw Sudam, and he stood up and he went to Sudam and he embraced him, and tears were flowing down the eyes of Lord Krishna. "Sudam, finally, you have come, you have come." So Krishna took Sudam in the inner quarters, where usually the kings and like this, that's just their private quarters, just where they are with their wife and like this. Krishna took Sudam in his own room and set Sudam on his own bed. And then he worshipped Sudam. He washed his feet. He applied sandalwood paste on the body of Sudam. He had fragrant incense and beautiful lamps that he was offering to Sudam. And he even gave a beautiful cow to Sudam. And as Krishna was doing that, Lakshmi Devi, who is no one else than the goddess of fortune, was there with a chamara. And she was assisting Krishna in worshipping the Brahmana. And she was amazed because this Brahmana looks so poor, so emaciated. His clothes were very old, very, very old. And she is the goddess of fortune, and she was serving and feigning Sudam. And everyone in the kingdom, they saw this very, very poor Brahmana coming in. So they were all watching from distance. And they were saying, our king, the Lord, is worshipping this Brahmana. And after the worship, Krishna said, "Sudam, how are you? Did you get a good wife? How do you remember when we were together in the ashram of our spiritual master, how we were doing service together? And do you remember the boon that our spiritual master gave us? He gave us the boon that all the Vedic scriptures that we are learning under him will become realized in our heart forever. Do you remember?" Yes, I remember. So they had a wonderful time just remembering how it was. There are many, many verses in Srimad Bhagavatam who are like very, very elaborate and developed. But after sometimes Krishna asked Sudam, did you bring any gift, anything for me? And I forgot to tell in the beginning of the story, but Sudam knew that he should bring a gift to Krishna, but they look in the house, but there was just nothing to give to Krishna. So Sudam went to beg in the neighbor, can you give me some, I go to meet a friend, can you give me something? And he was living in a poor quarter, so everyone was poor in the place, so he just got like some very old flat rice that he had made with his chador. He made a little punch that he was keeping for traveling. So Sudam Krishna asked, do you have any gift for me? And Sudam felt, my God, so much luxury here. How can I give him this flat rice? So he was hesitating to give him the flat rice, but Krishna knew. So he said, oh, what do you have here? And he catch the flat rice. And he opened the cloth and he started to eat this old flat rice. And Goddess Lakshmi looked, oh, this old flat rice, he is eating that. And then when she saw that Krishna kept eating, and she, no, my lord, stop eating. And she knew she will need to have a good argument, otherwise he will finish everything. And she knew the belly of my lord is so tender that this flat rice is not fit for Krishna, not fit for him. So she said to Krishna, you are eating everything on your own. You have to keep for all your queens, and everyone should get off this wonderful. So Krishna stop eating. After that, Sudam stayed for 1 day or two in the place, and then he went back with his cow back home, and Krishna accompanied him to the end of the palace, and then he started to walk home, and he was so happy. He was so happy that he went to meet Krishna, and he was so happy that he did not give me anything. I could give him, but he could not give me. I mean, he got the cow, but he was feeling very, very happy in this situation. Now, as he was on his journey back, one morning his wife woke up. Shushila woke up, and she was amazed because the broken down hut in which they were living had been changed into a palace. And when she went in front of the mirror, she saw that she was young and beautiful. And she saw there was a cupboard, and inside was a lot of clothes, and all the necessary items were there. And at first she did not know what's going on, but then she understood. This is the mercy of Lord Krishna, the friend of my husband, and my husband will soon come. Now when Sudam came, he just could not find his house anymore. Where is my broken hut? Was there some construction going on during my absence? And then suddenly he see like beautiful people coming toward him, like dancing, singing. Those are demigods coming, devatas are coming. And they came and they folded their hands and they say, my lord, we are your servant. Sudam could not get it. And then a lady came, a young lady. My lord, my husband, my husband. Sudam was, and the servant said, yeah, it's your wife. And then he just could not say anything. And when he saw his wife, he was also transformed into a beautiful boy. And he had suddenly clothes, beautiful, fine silken clothes, ornaments. And then he understood, my Lord, what did my Lord? It's amazing. Our Acharya said that Krishna did not give the transform Sudam immediately, because otherwise the wife and Sudam would not have been able to recognize each other. So therefore he waited that. Now there is our Acharyas give a very, very interesting comments, and they ask a question. They say, why did Krishna not immediately give all this wealth to Krishna? Why he gave only when Krishna was gone? And they gave a very interesting comment. they say, this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who can very, very easily understand the mind of the Lord. And he said that the Lord, after receiving this rice, he understood that even Sudam had nothing. He had to go and beg for this rice. So this rice had more value than anything that I have. So he felt what I'm giving him, all the wealth I give him, cannot match the gift that Sudam gave me. So the Lord felt ashamed for that, and he said, I will give him after. I will feel ashamed to give him and to not be able to reciprocate his loving exchange directly in front. So that's very, very beautiful pastime that I wanted to say. I just want to read you a last sentence. This is one of the verse that wrapped the whole thing together. Thus, seeing how the unconquerable Supreme Lord is nonetheless conquered by his own servant, the Lord's dear Brahmana friend, Sudam, felt the remaining knot of material attachment within his heart being cut by the force of his constant meditation on the Lord. In a short time, he attained Lord Krishna's supreme abode, the destination of great saints. So by the strength of his constant meditation on the Lord, the knot of material attachment was totally removed, and very soon he went back home, back to Godhead. So that's what I wanted to share with you. This is something I found very inspired myself to contemplate on the kindness of the Lord. And my main message is that we don't take it too much for granted, but that we remember, we feel gratitude, and we chew on it. We can search on the Veda base, Krishna kindness, how Krishna is kind. We can collect and meditate and plan and think and share with others, so that this is something living in our heart and that will enliven our spiritual life like anything. Thank you. I think because we already had some question, should we still check if there is? Okay. Yeah, let's do like this. If someone of you have a question or like this, you can always approach me after the lecture, and we can move directly to the next. Thank you.